Today I want to talk about who is my tribe and to whom do I belong. And I think it's important that we look at these questions right now because we're living in a time of injustice, of war and gun violence and people lashing out. And I believe that part of this, which I call toxic masculinity and devastating behaviors, is in part fueled by tribal thinking. The idea that I am better than you, I deserve more, my people deserve more, you owe me. Unfortunately, I don't have all the answers to these questions. This is one of my questions I'm sharing with you. To whom do I belong and who is my tribe? So today I've gathered quite a lot of different voices to help us think about this. And my hope is that it will give you some thought and heart stimulation to go away and find your own conclusions and live out the answers. So I'd like to start with the wisdom of St. Francis of Assisi. He's a very important person to me. So it's important to know that St. Francis was, when he was just Francesco, he didn't belong to his community or his church or his family that he was born into. He changed. He was transformed so much, mostly because he was a knight and he was, caught in a war and shoved in a dungeon, and that changed him. That would change you. Spending a year in dark prison in medieval times. So one of the things that St. Francis teaches us is to be at home in the world, and I want to focus on this for our meditation. And I'm going to do the meditation differently than I normally do. I don't want to do a spoken guided meditation. I want to use the words of St. Francis through song and use that to create a sacred space that will have a little minute of silence afterwards. And then I'll invite us to pray. So let's jump in. And I've chosen a chant for us that's the words of St. Francis. Goes like this. Ooh, the world is my home. Ooh, the world is my heart. Ooh, the world is my monastery, my monastery. Ooh, the world is my home. Ooh, the world is my heart. Ooh, the world is my monastery, my monastery. Ooh, the world is my home. Ooh, the world is my heart. Ooh, the world is my monastery, my monastery. One more time. Ooh, the world is my home. Ooh, the world is my heart. Ooh, the world is my monastery, my monastery. Amen. The most famous piece of writing that St. Francis left us was the Canticle of the Sun. He wrote it shortly before he died, and I was asked to set it into song. So I invite you to settle into these words, to let the song create sacred space right with you wherever you are, in the room or outside in your garden, wherever you are when you watch this. Most high, all powerful, precious God, no spoken word can hold your name. Praise be to you who births all life, with all your creatures. Especially you, sir, brother, son, who is the day and is your light, a beauty so true to you. There you are, there you are. Praise be to you, my Lord, you are the sister moon and the stars. Bright, precious heaven, there you are, there you are. Praise be to you, my Lord, you are brother wind and the air, breath of spirit, there you are, there you are. Praise be to you, my Lord, you are sister water, gift of life, pure, essential, there you are, there you are. Praise be to you, my Lord, you are brother fire, friend through the night, strong and playful, there you are, there you are. Most high, all powerful, precious God, through Mother Earth we see your face, you who govern all of life, sustain and nurture all that is, with sister death, first and last breath, the key unlocking all we are, there we are. There we are. There we are. into this place of quiet. I invite you to place your prayers, to send out a blessing of peace and wholeness and belonging, of healing, to whatever situation is heavy on your heart. I invite you to picture the situation, the person, their ailment. And if it's something in your own body, your own life, place your hands on your body as we send a blessing now silently for a few seconds. Amen. Okay, let's move into our time of thinking and praying and feeling about the topic at hand of tribalism. And I've got a video for us. It's about 4 minutes long, and it was recorded 2 weeks ago, so it's hot off the press. It is Robert Otto, I think is how you say his name, talking with Carolyn Mice. And I found what they said very relevant.
We're moving into this one world consciousness. We're moving into new definitions of something like home, the archetype of home, the archetype of tribe, the archetype of family. And this is what's missing here is that we're meant to move into a new inner system of home. And we've internalized an outer system of home through culture, society, family, and many of us trauma.
What you're describing is that the template that we have always used to define what home is has been defined by blood and boundaries. And that in these last decades, all of the pillars of society that have held up for centuries, traditions, marriage, the boundaries of nations, the boundaries of religion, the typical boundaries that have held up the pillars of society are all gone. And because of that, how can people not feel estranged from the context and the content of society when the typical ingredients that make community are not there? But
Right. Yeah.
exactly what transformation is about, is becoming a community of humans, not based on blood and type and where we were born. But I think, there is a call to humanity that is juxtaposed to a call to inhumanity. And that's what we're feeling. And there's the external home base versus awakening to an internal sense of a community of humans as home. We are feeling the impulses to follow chords of holism. We don't belong in fractured land anymore.
Tribalism, and it kind of speaks to what you just said, as we've known it, is dismantling. Tribe used to be give up anything that made you an individual so the tribe could survive. And now the tribalism of this new era is rather empower individuation so that the individual can contribute their genius that in turn saves the tribe. So there's a complete shift of how the tribe archetype operates. And I'm a gay man, so I had to early on in my journey figure out as well, like what family meant to me. We would always hear family values and this and that around family, and I would watch other friends of mine get kicked out of their home for being who they were or being truthful about who they were. And it always struck me that what kind of family value is that? And so there's inherent in, as you just mentioned, the shift of tribe, therefore the shift of family, because that is a tribe. So yet, we're human and we want community and we want connection. We all are kind of feeling like I need tribe.
That's right.
Do I have a tribe? Do I have a family? What does family even mean?
It's a new kind of tribe, the intuitive tribe.
Yeah.
The human tribe, the tribe of community of what do they call it? Friends, family. It's a larger tribe where you're not put off by, you're not my religion, you're not straight, you're not this. It's a tribe of humanity.
Yes. Well, and that this is, in astrological terms, an Aquarian age pattern. That is the pattern of Aquarius. It's humanity. It's humanitarian. Like we all belong. No matter if you don't feel like you belong, that's a natural. I understand where people would get that feeling, but you still do. We all had our passports stamped to come here,
Right.
and so we all have a role or some meaning or some destiny on this planet.
The sparrow has a place in the rafters. The swallow raises her young in the nest she has made. They live and move easily in their places. They flit and soar around your world altar. They are home. But it is not so easy for me. I long for that ease of being and pray for the grace to live in the world as at your altar. Happy are they who live in the pilgrim way. They walk through desolate landscapes and find your springs. They toil through the mountains and discover your peaks. They set themselves to the tasks of love and service and know deep satisfaction. One day lived in this grace is better than 1,000 spent at our own devices. When we walk our appointed path in peace, we find our home and our way. Here's a reading from St. Paul, from the Message interpretation of the Bible. It's one of my favorite. It was a minister, Eugene Peterson, I think is his name, wrote a kind of easily understandable version of the Bible for the people in his congregation. And this is his take. We're going to start on the second line here. A body isn't just a single part blown up into something huge. It's all the different but similar parts arranged and functioning together. If foot said, "I'm not elegant like hand, embellished with rings. I guess I don't belong to this body," would it make it so? If ear said, "I'm not beautiful like eye, transparent and expressive. I don't deserve a place on the head," would you want to remove it from the body? If the body was all eye, how could it hear? All ear, how could it smell? As it is, we see that God has carefully placed each part of the body right where God wanted it. But I also want you to think about how this keeps your significance from getting blown up into self-importance. For no matter how significant you are, it is only because of what you are part of. An enormous eye or a gigantic hand wouldn't be a body but a monster. What we have is one body with many parts, each its proper size and in its proper place. No part is important on its own. Can you imagine eye telling hand, "Get lost, I don't need you"? Or head telling foot, "You're fired, your job has been phased out"? As a matter of fact, in practice it works the other way round. The lower the parts, the more basic and therefore necessary. You can live without an eye, for instance, but not without a stomach. When it's part of your own body you're concerned with, it makes no difference whether the part is visible or clothed, higher or lower. You give it dignity and honour it just as it is, without comparison. If anything, you have more concern for the lower parts than the higher. If you had to choose, wouldn't you prefer good digestion to a full-bodied hair? Amen. To whom do we belong? To whom do we belong? Well, we belong to one another. We belong to one another. So let's sing about that. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. One more time. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. To whom do we belong? We belong to God. And as we say here at Unity, we live and move and breathe within God. There is no separation between our lives and God. And we know this, but how do we get there? I mean, how do we tune into this and live out this truth in the ordinary details of our lives? I got a song that helps us with this. I always got a song. This one is the words of Rumi, set into music by Chloe Goodchild. Beyond ideas of right and wrongdoing, there is a field, a singing field. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. Beyond ideas of right and wrongdoing, there is a field, a singing field. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. Beyond ideas of right and wrongdoing, there is a field, a singing field. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. This question of where is home and to whom do we belong needs to be considered to ensure we don't step backward into what Caroline in the video called fractured land. And I chose this topic because last month an astrologer scared the heebie-jeebies out of me, talking about something to do with a north and south node and eclipses and a dragon swallowing its tail. I don't understand astrology. Long and short of what she said, or what I heard anyway, was that we are in crazy times and many people will lash out and cause harm because they have lost their deep understanding of who they are. Now, I'm not an astrologer, as I said, but when I notice that the world seems to be a little bit more crazy than normal, I go and I listen to them to try and work out how I should behave. And what I took away from this astrological forecast was this is a time for increased mindfulness, because external or collective patterns might be pulling invisible strings and pressing our buttons, pressing my buttons. God, what is mine to do in this world at this time? Or let's bring that a little bit closer, that question. Who are my people to love? And how can I anchor in my faith? When the world outside seems to be getting a little bit dangerous and cruel, our faith is a great anchor. And the wisdom of Teresa of Avila, she was a mystical genius from 500 years ago from Spain. And she suggested that we act with love, know thyself, and pray. She was quite a character. She survived the Spanish Inquisition and led a reform movement within the Catholic Church. And she famously said hilarious things like this: God save us from sour-faced saints and half-learned men. And today I want to focus in on her second teaching, that of know thyself, because it seems to me that there's a pervasive collective pattern of tribalism rising up. Let me know in the chat if you've noticed that too. And the image I heard the astrologer talking about, the dragon swallowing its own tail, felt right about what I was seeing on the news. What am I seeing? What are we seeing on the news? We're seeing people turning in on themselves. Senseless violence, harming the collective because we don't understand that we're not other. Yes, I appear to be separate, but we all bleed the same. We're all born from our mothers. We all breathe the same air. We are, as I believe, a collective soul. So I see young men going crazy, shooting at crowds, nations invading other nations, older men deciding on the reproductive rights of teenagers and young women. I need to pause when I watch all this. What am I seeing? I'm seeing a tightening of jaws, action of take and hate rising up, revealing itself. Its thought forms and influence are everywhere, including inside me. Perhaps you don't believe this, but I really believe that our collective consciousness does affect us. And, we're taught in the Christian tradition, I cannot be okay if you're not okay. I might shut my feelings off, but ultimately we are bound together whether we like it or not. And we live in a huge feedback loop where what I put out gets reflected back at me. And we mirror the love or the bad moods or the everything, even illness, we mirror and share and spread. So my hope in today's topic is that we can become conscious of where we're mirroring and sharing and what are we putting out into the collective. And when I watched Robert and Caroline talking, I think I saw it about a week ago, they were talking about this being a pivotal time where we get to choose between fractured land and a new expanded understanding of tribe. And as we heard from the Psalm, with 3,000-year-old piece of writing, there's nothing new in the search for home and belonging. And then 2,000 years ago, a bit less, Paul's take on we are one body. We are a collective, whether we like it or not. Change is happening very quickly, and it's unsettling for us humans. And I think we're given the choice of, do we climb backwards to where home was? You know, Robert, I've watched a few videos of him talking about his childhood, and he came from alcoholic parents and a very traumatic childhood. So the idea of climbing backwards for him is really awful, and you don't want to do that. But some of us came from homes where stray animals and refugees were given shelter and food. Do we climb backwards? Do we just move forward? There is no simple answer. My suggestion is to be awake, to pay attention, to be on guard, and do all that you can to bring kindness and humor, a quiet revolution to those around you, and to pray for those who are suffering. And if you are suffering, for you to pray. The world needs healing and kindness and generosity and humor, and not everyone is able to offer that right now. So pour out light. Light for ourselves, light for our loved ones, light for our enemies. Now you guys are Unity, a community founded on prayer. So I'm preaching to the choir on this one here. There was something else that Robert said in the video that I found most interesting. He said that the shift in tribal thinking is from a surrender of the self for the sake of the tribe to a new way where each individual brings their own unique genius to the aid of the whole. A surrender of self for the greater good of the tribe, the old way, to a new way where we all bring our charisma, our unique light. Now, we're all works in progress, right? So we are on the way to being genius and saints, but we're not there. And I do have to warn us not to just rush ahead with individual thinking. But our charisma, our unique light, how do we share that without competition, without the proving of yourself or the immature hero or consuming, or all things that we do to try and fill the emptiness inside by pushing ourselves out? I love that idea of our desire to become and to offer healing and to be individuals, which we all love it when people recognize us and see us and affirm who we are as individuals. We love this. We need this. And how beautiful if that can be part of the solution to the collective human family, that there's a place for everybody at this table. And you know, this is God's table, so I believe there probably is a place for everybody. Okay, 2 rules to help us share our light in a way that really will reach out to a tribe where everybody is welcome, to creating this change, responding with generosity like Mother Nature. Do not hoard or steal. And when you have abundance, share it. We are utterly independent upon one another. That is true. Respond with generosity like Mother Nature. And second one, I would say that will help us do this. Be the change that you want to see in others. Make your outrage or your sadness known in offering the solution, even in small, tiny ways. You might think, what difference does it make? But if you make a difference to just one person, that's enough. We have no idea of our impact or worth. We don't even know why we're on this earth. We're here to serve. We have some basic ideas, but we don't know the gift of a life, how much that can change the becoming and bless everybody. It's really important that we don't wait for validation or proof from the outside, but that we just live our lives the way that we feel called to. Especially if you're at the start of a movement, you might not see the change that you are trying to be in the world. A huge role model for me here is Peace Pilgrim. Do you all know Peace Pilgrim? Here's a picture of her. And I got some quotes from her book now, just in case you've not come across her. For 28 years, this woman walked north in the summer and to the southern states in the winter, and just walked for peace. She gave up her name. She gave up her identity. She only had like a comb and a quarter and a piece of paper in her pocket. She would wash her clothes and put them back on and then continue walking. And she would walk until given shelter and fast until given food. She never asked for anything. And her message was all about, when enough of us find inner peace, our institutions will become more peaceful and there will be no more occasion for war. She was protesting against the nuclear bomb. But there's a quote here that can help us with this tribalism and this viciousness, to stay away from viciousness. Right, really let go of the idea that we need to be successful. Peace Pilgrim says, a time like this calls for much peace prayer and peace effort. All right work and right prayer has effect whether we see results or not. All right work and right prayer has effect whether we see results or not. And those who seem to fail pave the way and often contribute more than those who finally succeed. I love this. How fabulous. So in conclusion, I think Carolyn and Robert are right. There is a shift in consciousness and we don't belong in fractured land anymore. But some people are digging in their heels and trying really hard to make that happen. That there's an awakening happening all around us, a call to humanity. Can we tap into that? May we tap into that? Here's a prayer from Saint Therese of Avila that helps us do just that. She says, O Christ, I'm going to say Spirit. Spirit, you are within each of us. We are your temple. We are your body. If every wall should crumble and every church decay, we are your habitation. Nearer are you than breathing, closer than hands and feet, and ours are the eyes with which you in the mystery look out with compassion on this world. We belong to God. We belong to this world. We belong to one another. I've got a song about that. Let me find it for you. Written by a friend of mine. I don't know if I've shared this one before. Thank you for listening to my message. You belong to this body, you belong to this earth, you belong, you belong, you belong. With all of your dignity, all of your worth, you belong, you belong, you belong. You belong to this family, to this tree of life. You belong, you belong, you belong. There's nothing no one can do to untie these ties, 'cause you belong, you belong, you belong. And you're not the worst thing that you've ever done. You're not the ways you think you might be bothering someone. You're not better than, less than, or equal. People are people, we belong to these bodies, we belong to this earth. We belong, we belong, we belong. With all of our dignity, all of our worth, we belong, we belong, we belong. We belong to this family, to this tree of life. We belong, we belong, we belong. There's nothing no one can do to untie these ties, 'cause we belong, we belong, we belong. And we're not the worst thing that we've ever done. We're not the ways we think we might be bothering someone. We're not better than, less than, or equal. People are people. I belong to this body, I belong to this earth. I belong, I belong, I belong. With all of my dignity, all of my worth, I belong, I belong, I belong. Amen.